sure is grand, isn't it? The best part is when your day is chock full of random little moments that bring a smile to your face when you remember them later on. Enjoy this collection of situations that you've definitely found yourself in. Visiting the restroom is a fact of life. We all do it multiple times a day. That essential little room is where the most secret of our routines take place. The things one does in the powder room are never to be revealed to even those people closest to you. Apart from the obvious, you can stare at yourself in the mirror, belt out some musicals in the shower, anything really. And yet there are dangers in relaxing when it comes to exiting said room. Before leaving, check the bottoms of both of your shoes, and if you've washed your hands, and we sure hope you did, then be certain you paid attention to where any water might have splashed. If not, you might find yourself in a situation that's funny for everyone but you. First you'll hear plenty of whispers and giggles, and then panic will hit you as you look down and see to your horror just what everyone is laughing about. And of course, no one will listen or believe you when you try to explain that it's just a bit of water. Ben, I'm afraid all the fancy clothes, stylish haircuts, and sly smiles in the world won't save you after this. The nickname Captain Wet Pants is likely going to follow you to your grave. Keeping the romance alive can be difficult and expensive, but it doesn't have to be. If money is tight and whisking your girl off to Paris for the weekend or sending her massive bouquets each morning just isn't in the budget, worry not. You can always sweep her off her feet literally to show her your love. Oh, but watch out for those sneaky doorways. If you bump her head into one of those, all of your gallant efforts will have been in vain, and there won't be any passionate kisses of thanks. Why do you think girls like strong, jacked guys? Because all those rippling muscles look great under a deep VT? Well, that doesn't hurt for sure, but there's an even more important reason. That being a man's strong arms can turn him into a superhero in the event that his damsel finds herself in distress. So know that despite you being the kind of guy who considers a sharp wit and a sense of humor to be more important than athleticism, there are times when that might not be the case. And in that moment, your girlfriend might think otherwise as well. So, just to be on the safe side, get to the gym and start pumping iron. This situation will likely happen with every couple, and possibly more than once. You're sitting at home minding your own business, and your significant other asks you, "Honey, how about I make us a little something to eat?" But there are a few things to take into account here. 1, how hungry are you? Because this is going to take a while. And 2, can they actually cook? And yet saying no isn't really an option, so you hunker down and wait. The kitchen symphony begins with the clinking and clanking of pots and pans, and utensils and ingredients start flying this way and that. All the while, the seconds, minutes, and maybe even hours tick on by. So now you're past hungry and moving closer to starving. But the kitchen quiets down and a big old plate is set down in front of you. And hey, looks pretty good, smells pretty good, maybe it'll taste pretty good. Let's give it a try. Well, what do you say, Ben? The moment of truth. And it's a swing and a miss. You're pretty sure that the meat is undercooked, the veggies are overcooked, and what is that weird taste? But you can't say any of that. After all the effort and love that was poured into the dish, you know you have to finish it with a smile on your face to boot. Refusing it outright is completely out of the question, but not all is lost. Maybe your significant other will pop out of the kitchen for a minute and you can feed it to the dog or throw it away. Beware, however, they might just decide that since you ate your dinner so fast and have been so complimentary that surely you're ready for seconds or maybe even thirds. We've just seen a bit of a fail on Kira's part when it comes to domestic duties, but then the men of the house aren't immune from committing their own little missteps. Their stubbornness keeps them from looking at maps, reading instructions, and using the right tool for the right job. And yet they never learn and maintain that they know best. Hang a picture frame up on the wall? Not a problem. They'll have that done in a jiffy, no help needed. Just call our Mikey Mr. Handyman. But he seems to be missing something important here. That is a nail, after all, not a screw, but he seems confident all the same. Sweet of you, Kira, to try and offer him a better alternative, but there's that stubbornness we were talking about earlier. There's no way a screwdriver can pound a nail into a wall. And Oh, but it sure can leave a nasty bruise once you've smashed your finger with it. Ouch. That came back to bite you, didn't it, Mike? Today, Mike is looking to meet an amazing girl and strike up a conversation, and then, who knows? So here he is, gathering his courage and scoping out those shopping in his local mall. He only has to cast out his net by flashing the lucky girl a smile and see what he catches. But it seems Mike is a bit too focused on only one aspect of all of his prospective dates. He might want to widen his gaze in order to be sure the girl he's checking out is in fact a girl. That is, if that's what you're looking for at the end of the day. You do you, man. The craziest ideas and desires have a tendency to creep into your head while sitting at home alone, bored out of your brain. And here we have Ben, and there we have a pair of rather tall high heels. I've always wondered. Sure, they'll be a bit tight, but why not give them a try? If I don't, I'll never know. Why should girls have all the fun? If they are fun. No. How are you meant to walk in these things? And even if you can, how do you avoid breaking a leg? Who came up with this special form of torture? Although, with just a bit of practice, it's actually not quite all that bad. I might even go as far as to say this is fun. How have I never tried on these things before? I might wear stilettos instead of slippers around the house from now on. Maybe put some pumps on and go for a light jog. One small high-heeled step for Ben, one giant leap for Ben's entertainment. I will venture where no man has before. Can I venture a guess as to what's going on here? Have something you'd like to tell me, Ben? I leave you alone in the house for 5 minutes. Ever thought about why guys don't like rom-coms? You might think the answer is simple because the films are always the same and there's no high-speed chases or shootouts. Nothing blows up. The fate of the world doesn't rest on the shoulders of one superhero. He's left with only one last bullet in his gun. And you never see a hero save a busload of people from a bomb with just seconds to spare, defeating a crazed villain. What are those sappy movies full of? He loves her, she loves him, but he's poor and she's rich. Her parents forbid them to marry, and that sadly means they can never possibly be together. The pair is forced to hide their true feelings for the rest of their lives. But then realizing he can't live without her, our beau asks her to run far, far away with him. Only then can they finally be together, and they find their happiness after overcoming all the obstacles in their way, and it's just so beautiful. You can't not cry when you witness the innocence and purity of it all. There's no holding back the waterworks anymore. Oh, but don't worry, Ben. It's a myth that girls like it when their boyfriends are unfeeling robots. Most women have a not-so-secret rule about the first date. Nothing more than a peck on the lips. And even that's not guaranteed. But there's an unspoken rule to be followed too. No matter how funny the joke your date just told you was, be sure to keep your hands to yourself. Otherwise, you could find yourself having to talk about a very touchy subject all too soon. Yes, well, it's an established fact that boys can be absolute slobs. I'm afraid there's no changing that. They're often just built that way from the very beginning. And their talents allow them to turn a nice, bright apartment into a virtual pigsty in a matter of hours. Their indifference to the cleanliness of the place where they live boggles the mind. I don't even think science has an explanation for that mystery. And while these evil geniuses of disorder and dirt never fail to surprise, they're not hopeless either. Just never demand that they clean up right here, right now. Because if you do, they're gonna take the easy way out and tidy up in a manner other than the one you were hoping for. And you're gonna end up finding that mess later on, much to your displeasure. But something's better than nothing, right? Out of sight? Out of mind? Well, could be worse. And Mike's happy enough. There are 3 types of jealous women. Regular jealous, super jealous, and absolutely basket case bananas crazy jealous. If you come across one of those ladies, run for the hills. With her, there are constant fights, scenes are made everywhere you go, nightly inquisitions, and never-ending suspicion. You wake up to the, "Where were you last night?" Come home to, "Who were you just talking to on the phone?" And fall asleep, not with sweet nothings whispered in your ear, but the question of, "Why did you like that one girl's post on Insta today?" And on it goes. That's just a sampling of what awaits the unlucky sucker who falls for one of those girls. But surely there's something that can be done so that you and your love can have one day of peace and serenity. Glad you asked. If you want 24 hours without a scandal, intrigue, or interrogations, it can be done, but it won't be easy. You must follow these few strict rules. First and foremost, speak to 0 women for any reason whatsoever. Even if it's a life or death situation, don't risk it. Keep the chit-chat to men only, or else a table can be overturned or worse. Second, don't even look at another woman. And last but not least, don't go anywhere where there might be other women. The safest bet is to simply stay at home and watch some sports. Men's sports, that is. And of course, we can't stress this last point enough. Think long and hard before proposing to a jealous girl like that. Once the ring goes on, there's no going back. Well, and since we've already touched on the subject of scandalous situations, we might as well cover domestic arguments in full. Can't live without them, right? Sometimes it's the little things that send couples over the edge, but often you just try to ignore an issue and hope it smooths itself over. And maybe it does for a short while, until he steals the remote for the umpteenth time. Which in the long run is not a big deal, but in the moment, you may decide that watching your favorite TV show is something worth fighting over till the last man standing. And just like that, bam, lights out, buddy boy. Well, that's one way to end a fight. Kira, you may have just gotten yourself into a bit of trouble, though. Might be a good time to take that trip you've been wanting to for so long, and, quick. Although, before fleeing the country and changing your identity, you might want to be sure that the situation is truly as dire as all of that. If your goal is to wow all of your followers with a unique pic that you can post on Instagram, then snap away until there's no memory left on your phone. But not everyone is destined to be a famous photographer, and a camera can turn into a dangerous weapon in the blink of an eye. In that case, you're gonna need to beg on your knees for forgiveness and be thankful if everyone makes it out without a black eye or a broken nose. Ouch. And finally, a sticky situation all those sweet tooths out there might find themselves in. It's a bit of a moral dilemma of what to do when you happen upon someone else's bowl of candy, but at the end of the day, finders keepers. And a rule's a rule. But at the same time, you don't want to have to explain yourself if you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar. That's the worst. So what to do? Flip that bowl around and stuff it under your t-shirt, obviously. Now you're simply a sweet pregnant lady, and who could yell at you? People melt like chocolate when they see that baby bump. Yeah, you might have to do some explaining in a few months, but you can cross that bridge when you get to it. For now, put up those feet, mama, and enjoy the fruits of someone else's labor. Here are our bloopers that might also include other situations familiar to you. Enjoy! See you later, alligator!
Ew.